Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Madness University. This is LZ, and I am here with Nick, as always. And today on Mad U, we're going to cover our biggest mistakes in the hobby that we've made. Nick, we're going to start with you.
hmm
What are, let's say, let's each come up with maybe two. What are your two biggest mistakes that you've made in the hobby? I'm a big believer in you learn from people's mistakes, so hopefully people will learn learn some things today from us.
All right, awesome. Yeah. So, contrary to what you might think in the audience, LZ and I, though we are experts, we have actually made multi-thousand-dollar mistakes, or at least I have. So, all right. So we're gonna do two. I
Hmm.
actually, I've got a couple of mistakes centered around the 1969 Kareem rookie card. It says Lou Alcindor. Okay. So the first mistake I made was I got super excited thinking, okay, I can crack this card, get it signed by him, regrade that thing, and it's going to be the same or a better grade and make a ton of money and, be totally rich or whatever. And the biggest mistake there is I realized I would crack an SGC 7, for example, crack it out. It looks beautiful. Could be a PSA 8. I didn't realize that they grade differently now than they used to. And I also didn't realize that things in SGC holders and in Beckett holders aren't as stringently looked at in terms of measurements. So when I sent it to PSA, instead of an 8, it's an authentic, which is basically like a 2, maybe even a 1, somewhere in
Oh,
between the two. So I kept getting these things signed by him and just trying to get a high grade and a high auto. And I kept getting like authentic, authentic, authentic. It was driving me nuts. The other crazy part of this story is
mm.
I was one of the first people to get him to sign his full name, Kareem Abdul Jabbar. For the most part, up until that point through his website, he was just signing his last name. So that's what I started doing.
Let's pause for that for a second there. So why were you one of the first? Did you like reach out and say, "Hey, is this an option?" And you kind of
There was
pushed that
a
button a little bit?
there was a guy that worked there, and I just kind of like made friends with him, and it just says,
Mm.
"Hey, what else can Kareem do? What else can we do here? I'd love to have his like full name." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, we can do that. It just costs a little extra money." I'm like, "It's not on your site." "Yeah, we don't like to talk about it, but we do it sometimes." I'm like,
No.
"Okay." And so then greedily, I tried to just crack a bunch of stuff, get him to sign it with the full
Yeah.
signature, and
Oh,
it was wild, man.
yeah.
At the end of the day, I ended up with a nice card for my set. I think it's a 6.959, something like that. I'm satisfied. That thing got destroyed by UPS and still survived and went back to PSA, so I'm good. And then the other mistake centers around one of these cards. So as I was doing this, I'd have to just get rid of them on eBay, right? It'd be like authentic auto 10, but it had his full name and people hadn't really seen that. And I got a request on eBay. This is a lesson for everyone. I think I talked about it in our first episode. Basically the guy's like, "Hey, do you want to do a trade?" I'm like, "Ah, sure, sure, I love trades." This like random dude on eBay. And he had a PSA 7 Michael Jordan rookie card to trade. And I was like, I did the math. I'm like, yeah, it's probably a pretty good deal. I might even be getting a better deal. Almost too good to be true, right?
Hmm.
So I sent to this guy, and we did the trade successfully. I got the card. I sent to PSA, totally fake. The case was fake. The card was fake. Had a garbage pail sticker in the label, like the Jordan card. So I sent him something, and I was pretty pissed off. And this probably cost me a few grand or whatever it was for the card and signature and fees and everything. The funny end to this story that's positive is that to make it right, because it was his buddy that gave him the card, he gave me a raw 1986 Fleer set without the Jordan. And then I proceeded to get the whole thing autographed. So that's where it started. That's the crazy mistake that happened.
So he
So
gave
it's
you like
pretty wild.
140 cards.
Yeah, yeah, all raw. I think it was missing like Hakeem and Jordan or,
Wow.
or or something like
Yeah.
that. And then I was like, you know what? Fair. Like we're both got
Yeah.
kind of screwed on this. That's fair. So
Do you keep in touch with that person anymore?
I tried to reach out and
Mm.
yeah, he didn't really want to be. I think he just kind of like left cards. He's a ghost,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I did send him an update, say, "Hey, dude, thank you for starting this off because look where this ended up. Like I got the whole
Sure.
set autograph now." But yeah, I didn't hear back, sadly.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you felt like you got screwed over, but then it kind of turned into this could have been a cool relationship, but Again,
Yeah.
sounds like the guy moved on. So,
All right, LZ, what have you screwed up on?
all right. Oh boy, I'm actually gonna go. I just thought of one while you were talking. I'm gonna go way back, and there's a lesson learned here. I'm gonna go back to when I was a kid, so late '80s, early '90s, collecting. Um, I made some very kind of stupid hedges on certain athletes. If you think about early '90s, it was Shaquille O'Neal and it was Alonzo Mourning, and I went all in on Alonzo Mourning, all in, all
Those
in.
Hornets colors, man, they were very
Oh,
hypnotizing back then,
yeah,
guys.
this the starter jackets. Come on. Come on
They're,
now.
they're to
Larry
blame for this.
Johnson, Alonzo Mourning. But it is interesting. Now I know many of those cards are worth crap. We talk about all the time. It's the junk wax error. But when I look at my sets and I look at my collection from time to time, I do come back to that a lot. How why the heck did I go all in on Alonzo and like completely ignored Shaq? And the lesson around that one, I'm sure the audience kind of maybe has similar thoughts, right? And I'm sure it's not Alonzo and Shaq, but it's probably two other players. I think the lesson there is make sure you diversify. Don't go all in. Especially with current players, right? If you want to chase Tom Brady or well, Patrick Mahomes is a current player, but I think we'll all agree that he is probably one of the GOATs. But, going after Michael Jordan and those guys, that makes sense. But players that are actually playing right now, just be careful. Diversify. Because I did not diversify when I was a kid. And I
Right.
have a boatload of Alonzos that are worth $1. So that's number one. And then the other one that sticks out, I think I've mentioned it before on a few episodes. This is another 1986 Flair basketball story. Is I went to a card show. I was uneducated. I went to a vintage dealer and he had, I'm going to say probably 3/4 of the set. And each one of them was in a top loader with a penny sleeve. Really nice quality 1986 Flair basketball cards. And he wanted, I forget what he wanted. He wanted like $600 for it, which was a good deal, but I didn't realize it. I was uneducated and I paused and I walked away. I actually was texting Nick, like, hey, is this because Nick was already into it? Is this a good deal? Blah, blah, blah. And as I'm on the phone with Nick, I look over and another guy is scooping him up. And the set that I did eventually get, it was actually that weekend, I got another set, definitely not as good a quality. For folks who follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of my cards that are coming back from PSA. They're not getting graded very well, and I'm just like kicking myself. Like, it's coming back a 4 or 5, and that previous set that I should have jumped on, those definitely would have been better than 4s and 5s. So I do think about that one a decent amount. It's a mistake, but it just comes with education. I think that's the lesson, right? If you're gonna make a purchase, try to get educated. But in this sense, I should have known and I should have just jumped on it. So
Yeah, what can you do? What can you do?
yeah,
I get it. You got me a nice Goonies
I did.
unopened box, and that was pretty sick. So I was happy that day.
Yeah.
No, you
What
weren't,
did you
but
do? What'd you do with that box? Do you still have it?
yeah, I sent it to the baseball card exchange, which for the
Yeah.
audience, if you've got any old they can certify packs and boxes. So
Mm.
this is a box of Goonies cards from the mid '80s. They're awesome cards. I sent that to them, and they deemed it unopened. They sealed it up, put their hologram on it, and it's in my safe.
And you're
So
gonna keep it?
yeah, I love the
Yeah.
Goonies. I mean,
Yeah.
what am I gonna rip them and get like a bunch of chunk cards? Like, I mean, I am working on that set to get signed, but
Hmm.
I think I don't know, just hang on to it for a while. Maybe they'll make another movie or something, and Gavin will be into it. Then maybe I will crack it. I don't know.
Mm.
We'll see how it goes.
It's interesting that you bring up, are they gonna make another movie? I was having this discussion with somebody, I think it was last week. That is one movie that I'm surprised they haven't made yet. They haven't remade yet because they've remade everything. Like there's
Yeah,
rumors that Back to the Future is going to get remade. There's like all these stories, but Goonies, it's like no one's touching that one right now. So
yeah, they're all
I think it's a good
big.
idea.
Yeah,
Hold on to it.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it.
Okay. All
Cool.
right. Well, hopefully everybody learned. We all have mistakes. Hopefully you learned something from ours. But yeah, that's it. All right, everybody. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today. And until next time,
Bye, everyone.
bye, everybody.